Hey there, Q here. Let's talk about hackathons. This is a video where we talk about hackathons, and we'll learn what hackathons are about and what they are, especially how they can benefit you and what you can do with it. I pulled out a Wikipedia's definition here. You can probably look it up if you go to wikipedia.org. A hackathon is usually a design sprint-like event in which you would have a collaborative move between multiple parties, multiple participants working together as a team to build something, a solution towards a problem. And this usually involves graphic designers, programmers, interface designers, product managers, you name it, business people included can also be part of this collaborative move to actually build solutions. And that's the goal of the hackathon, is to build a solution at the end of the event and pitch it to the world. So hackathons tend to be more specific focused towards a particular set, whether it be an operating system, a new technology, a new application, using and utilizing an API, and many other things. There is no restriction on the type of software being created as long as you're actually answering the question or addressing the problem. In other words, by joining a hackathon, you're positively contributing towards the society by engineering a new product to pitch to the judges and win. So emphasizing on the win part, what can you win? You can win cash prizes, you can win swag, you can win recognition. All of these you can have like bragging rights to say, hey, I won first place, I won second place. It looks good in your resume. Some hackathons are also used as a gateway to allow participants to get hired by sponsoring companies. So there are many benefits to these, and that's one of them. Participants who join these hackathons tend to be put into teams, as I've mentioned before, and you got to know your team members, assess their skills, find out what they can do, how can they do it, and then get to know their experiences. I'm sure their experiences would be greatly benefit in this next hackathon, especially assessing skills. So you can start planning it out. How do you plan for your hackathon event? Do you use pen and paper? Do you use Dropbox? Do you use Google Drive? There's many ways to actually plan this out. Some people would use Google Jamboard or just using a simple whiteboard and a marker, and then just start drawing it out. Who's going to do what? Just assign this task to Bob and this task to Susan. This really tests the teams on how to be a proper team player, work together, communicate, provide support, take on criticism, whoever needs help, provide that kind of support. So working together is very, very important in this case. Otherwise, if you decide to go solo, and if the hackathons allow it, you can go solo. This is only meant for those who are more experienced in joining hackathons in the past, that they can actually build something from start to finish, a minimum viable product. And it's only meant for the experts or the seasoned hackathon joiners. For first timers, however, they should join a team, learn the rules, get mentored, ask plenty of help from everyone. But then again, you may be wondering, if you're going to join a hackathon, do you need to know how to code? Well, let me tell you, when I first joined my hackathon, I already knew how to code, but I still didn't win. You can join a hackathon and build things without coding, and these are known as no code or low code. But we'll get to that. But first, to share my hackathon story, okay? I'll tell you what I did in the past and how I joined these hackathons. I joined a Brunei hackathon event, was put into a team. It was my first time, didn't know how anything works, but I put what I learned about building web apps, putting into databases, and deploying them up. We didn't win. The problem was the scope was too broad. I was answering the entire problem and not just the specific part of it. And because I was answering a really broad problem, I was putting in way too many features, way in a very short amount of time, which causes stress. And when people stress, they tend to lose focus or drop the ball sometimes. So lesson learned number 1, don't focus too much on the technicals, focus on solving the problem first. Focus on building the solution as specific as possible and as small as possible. So you can focus on saying you want to try and send a burger over, and then you just build directly on that. Just find a way to send a burger through. And if it's not sending the burger through, answer that problem. So it wasn't a problem of technical, it's more on the business side of it. Like, how do we monetize it? How do we make sure that it's viable enough that it can actually keep up? The pitch of the app solution wasn't sound enough to get the judges to buy the product. So we got to make sure that it's actually convincing enough for anyone to use the product or the app. I wouldn't buy what I just made either, because I was just building to what we think is best for them. But we didn't think it would be something that we would want, or what the judges would want, or what the customers would really want. The best thing to actually answer that question is basically to ask the customers. And it's fundamentally part of it because it's in part of their user experience. And if you're not answering their user experience or addressing the problem properly, then it wouldn't work. I was more worried about user onboarding. So lesson learned number 2, build something that people or yourself want, or better yet, need to buy. In the first 2 hackathons, I kept learning on how to code faster, build faster, code faster, type faster. But it takes longer to practice because I'm focusing on every little aspect. Addressing different kinds of inputs, addressing different kinds of user interface designs, putting into different logics. How do I handle dates, especially leap years in February? Ain't nobody got a lot of time for that one. So let me welcome you to using low code, and that's where lesson learned number 3 comes in. Use low code, no code approach to build a simple working prototype. And then you can build a real thing right after that. Once you have a working prototype, use that as a reference guide to actually build the real working thing. You can do that after the hackathon, or you can do it during the hackathon. It's up to you. Take your time when building up the real thing. There's plenty of tools out there to build these low-code, no-code things. A few examples like Thunkable, Adalo, Glide Apps to build the mobile apps. For the backend, internal tools, you can use Strapi.js, Bootybase, AppWrite, or NoCodeDB. All of these are free, by the way, with some price to them, of course. Nothing is completely free. If you want to really use them, you have to pay for them. And this kind of proves my point that even non-programmers can join in hackathons too. You can be in a group with no programmers in them, and you can still use low code to build them. And if you don't win your first hackathon, don't be discouraged. Learn from what learn from your experiences. The mistakes that you've made and the things that causes you that win, learn that, put into your next hackathon, your next event, your next school assignment, or your next work assignment. And that becomes a very valuable skill. It's about problem solving, and that's, to recap, what a hackathon is. It's an event that allows participants to join in, work together to solve a problem, and build a solution towards that problem. Be a problem solver. Are you ready to join some hackathons? Thank you for your time.